Hey guys, welcome back to round 3 of our tournament for box tournament over here for SOR for Ettin Games. We've got Eric playing Emokids, which is SOR Vader and Awakenings Kylo, and we've got Lincoln playing our everyone's favorite, everyone's Bay, FN2199, and Django.
No, he's playing ePhasma
What? Who?
with the new Django. Lincoln.
No, he's not. He's playing Nines Django.
Oh, he is
man.
playing Nines.
Come on, man. Get it together. So
would-
two cheat
Oh,
characters.
this is Clint. This is Clint. Not
Oh,
Lincoln.
that's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, we just had Lincoln, and he was playing the Phasma version.
So two cheat characters in the same deck. Everyone loves to see that. That's a lie. No one likes to see that across the board for him.
And then what would be argued to be the most competitive fair deck of the format with regular Kylo and Baby Vader.
Yeah, I agree. I always think that going against the Kylo Vader could swing either way. You know, I don't think that it has a standard advantage over any deck except for maybe Pomaz because of Kylo's special constantly hitting those big cards. Depending on how many 3-cost upgrades, it could do really well against FN just because you're going to hit those 3s out of his hand, which always feels really nice except for the 9s player. But, you know, you don't want the 9s player to feel nice. They should feel bad about themselves because
Yeah,
9s
9s
is
player
broken.
should. Yeah, the 9s. I don't like 9s.
Tell me how you really feel. I think I like
But
9s. I just don't
but
like his
Rainbow
point
9s
cost.
is fun to play.
Dude, yeah,
Rainbow 9s is fun to play.
that was by far my favorite deck to play in SOR. I just think that it could do so much. It had
Oh, thanks, Biffy.
so much
Works.
utility.
We appreciate the
Hey,
compliment, man.
thank you.
You're not too shabby yourself.
Through text.
I like the font you chose. All right, so both of our players are shuffling up. So who do you give the edge to in this matchup?
If 9s is on the board, I'm always going to give the edge to 9s. I think what that character is capable of is probably more than any other character in SOR. So when you see him across the board, I think he's automatically going to get the advantage. It just depends on what Eric can do to stall 9's resource generation to prevent those upgrades from coming out. You know, I mean, that's the best way to counter 9s.
And I do know he does run Abandon All Hope, and it has caused some frustrations for some of the players here today.
Yep.
When he has brought out that card. And I love this new map that he's playing on.
Yeah, I really dig it.
What is that, Luke on the Death Star?
Yeah, it looks
In
like
Emperor's Throne Room?
Looks like Luke and Vader duking it out. We just saw a Father Son matchup. Eric's just bringing the theme.
So we're going to get our round timer started as they're drawn up. And again, Clint is a newer player. He played a little bit in the Awakenings meta, but he just recently got back into the game. And so that's why you see you're probably going to see a lot of Awakenings cards that don't normally get played right now.
Yeah.
But just because they don't get played doesn't mean they're not as effective.
Sometimes you'll see a lot of creativeness out of stuff like that, though. I mean, when you don't have access to all their cards, you really see a player's skill come out.
Well, and it's just sometimes you get a shock value, and it makes your opponent make bad decisions the rest of the game because they see you play a certain card, and they're like, "Why are you running that?" And then it makes them second guess some of the choices that they make.
Looks like Clint rolls a roll off since Eric only rolled 2.
So probably wisely going to choose not to take the throne room.
Yeah. You do not want Eric consistently getting those specials off.
Although I don't know, I was listening to I think it was a Knights of Ren podcast recently, and Taxter was on there. Nick Goby, he plays second at Worlds and then top 4 at Gen Con with Phasma deck, and he said that even against Emokids and Pomaz, he'll give them the throne room just for the 2 shields, thinking that he's going to remove their dice to have specials and then they can't claim and do stuff to them.
Right.
But I don't know about that with against the Emokids deck, just because they're going to holocron out so many force powers, and have more specials on those too.
Not just that, but especially when you're playing nines. You know, when you're playing Phasma, you can afford to do that because you're not playing that many expensive cards. But when you've got nines, you're running probably roughly almost a third of your deck at 3 cost or more. So you do not want Kylo getting those specials off, drawing those 3 damage cards out of your hand. I mean, so I think he made the wise decision. It counters what we were talking about earlier, where you always want shields.
Hey, and Taxer's actually watching right now. Yeah, man. Always take the shields. So Clint rolls out the nines with the DH-17, and did he get any value out of the roll-in with the DH-17?
No, he's got a +2, and then he's got sticks on both his nines dice.
But when he rolled it in with nines ability, what did he
get? I missed it.
Maybe. Oh, he got 1 damage out of it.
Oh yeah,
and that's what's on Vader right now, which is awesome. Like getting value out of a DH-17 die is always fantastic. It doesn't see much play in nines decks just for the fact that you can only resolve 50% of its sides, and even then, if you don't have the extra resource available, then you can only resolve 33% of it. So
yeah.
That might have been a good upgrade to just put on eJango to make him a little bit of a threat.
Well, I think he wants the ramp on nines. You know, you want that override weapon for nines to get something else out on top of it. You know, you want to build that economy into those 3 cost weapons. You know, you spend your resource now, you get the resource for maybe some control, and then the next round you lay that rocket launcher on the board and you make it do work.
So Eric was very fortunate to draw his holocron in his opening hand. Man, he had a really good opening hand.
Yeah,
Force Illusion, Force Speed, Holocron, and is that a Kylo Saber? Or Crossguard Saber, maybe?
I believe that's a Kylo Saber. So, I mean, you really can't ask for a much better hand than that. I mean, you could ask for a Force Lightning instead of the Kylo Saber, I suppose. No, that's actually an event. Can't make out what it is, though.
Manipulate, maybe?
Maybe.
I wonder if, I don't know if Eric has actually updated his Emokids list with some of the cards that were in the new starter set.
I was just about to ask if you knew if he was running crossguard or not. Because you could still lay that crossguard on Kylo and get the ability out of it.
I'm sure Eric's already got the 2-player set. I'm sure he's already got a playset of them.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know if he's had time to update this particular deck yet. What other cards would you include from that other than the Crossguard Saber?
What is... Oh, I believe that's a red card only, the equivalent to use the Force. It's the red ability. It costs 1, lets you turn a die to any side.
Right, but he's running them on a blue
Right.
deck, so.
That's what I was saying. I would include that, but I forgot that it's red. I would actually think about including the 1-cost upgrade for the focus and the draw. So it lets Eric fish through his deck better for cards that he actually wants. And then it gives him the consistency for Vader that you normally don't get. You know, sometimes you only roll those 1 range damage dice or that blank.
He could run the new event that lets you look into your opponent's hand, as I have foreseen, which would be really good with Kylo's special. It's interesting that both of the Kylos they've made so far, their abilities interact with stuff in your opponent's hand.
That's a good
So that's
point.
probably why they made this as I have foreseen card to work with both of them.
I mean, I'm glad that they're picking a theme for characters and kind of sticking with it at least.
Clash would probably be another good one to put in there. You can use it off of a Force Speed special as a use the Force to hit him real quick, in addition to just being a defensive option.
Yeah, I like Clash better for if you've got a 3 melee side. So obviously I like it a lot better in Daddy Vader than SOR Vader, but I agree it's still really good and definitely worth considering. But I think I would take the consistency of the I can't remember the upgrade off the top of my head out of the new player set that lets you draw. It's got the guy with the fancy hat on it.
Dark Council?
Is that it?
It's Dark Council. So Eric resolved the 4-speed special from Anakin, rolled in Kylo, and is going to go ahead and resolve 3 damage to nines.
We're not seeing the eJango put in as much work this time around.
Is he missing a second eJango die?
That's what it looks like. It may be off screen though. It looks like he's putting all his resolved dice away. I'm not sure
Something
what
that's a good idea to get in the habit of is placing your character's dice and their upgrades back onto their card.
Yeah, it gets kind of confusing as what's on the board and what's not.
Especially once you start discarding to reroll, it's important to keep your upgrade dice. Like, let's say you have two of the same upgrade on a character. If you discard to reroll and you just pick up all of your dice at once, it gets confusing to know which upgrade was on which player, which character. So
yeah, I've definitely done that before, where I just have a clump of dice and end up putting the wrong dice on a character. We actually saw it round 1 where Rob accidentally started with a Z6 instead of the 9s dice.
Exactly.
Cheater. He's just going to resolve the 1 range damage. Kind of surprised by that.
Didn't want to discard whatever's in his hand. Still don't know what it is.
It's an event. I'm just not sure what it is. I think at that point I discard it, though, unless it's something crazy. I always say you should try to average, 2.5 to 3 damage, which he did get, but he's got 50% chance on his dice to get more than that. No, show us that card, Eric. I saw him flip it up and then just flip it right back down. Did he move the upgrade over to eJango?
Yeah, I'm not sure what's
Cargo hold?
going on there. Oh, that must be what he's doing. He must be running cargo hold.
Very interesting choice for the battlefield for 9s. I guess
Maybe he wants to get the 2 rolls out of the weapon upgrades he's playing with 9s, and then get him over to eJango before 9s dies.
Well, yeah, I mean, because Rocket Launcher doesn't redeploy if you think about it like that. So another couple other big upgrades that don't.
Which is a bonkers weapon to cheat in with eJango.
Right.
So 9's just coming in naturally.
He loves those 2-for-1s.
4 damage. So Eric playing Overconfidence. I've really been impressed with Overconfidence. At first, when I first saw it, I didn't think it was going to be that good of a card.
Really?
Yes. And that's just because throughout Awakenings, I hated every single card that made my opponent re-roll their dice.
Right.
Like Scramble and Unpredictable, because they would just roll it into something, the same thing or something better. And I also stayed away from Doubt early on in Spirit of Rebellion just because I got burned by it too many times. But I've come around on both Overconfidence and Doubt, especially Overconfidence, just because they could roll 2 good things and you could mess up one of them and then remove the other. It's a lot of value.
Right. I immediately fell in love with it as a Luke Ray player at the beginning of SOR because it was a guaranteed dice removal, and I didn't have any conditions on it. It was just, hey, straight up, get rid of one of their dice. I did spot the other card in Eric's hand, by the way, that we were trying to figure out. It is Manipulate.
Okay. I think I would have tried to get more value out of my Vader dice last round, but I don't know.
I agree. Eric values that card very highly, so he could just be...
So Clint, he just rolled in eJango naturally. I'm assuming Eric passed and baited Clint into just rolling out his eJango.
Oh, he's playing another Overconfidence.
And so the 9's die goes away. But he's still got 4 damage, which isn't bad.
Not bad at all. Especially when you get 2 dice removed at the start of the round. What do you think of that? You think he would have just let him spend the resources on his 9's dice? Because now he's got 2 resources on the board for some kind of control, or maybe a big weapon next round for 9's.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I've always been of the mindset that you if your opponent has a damage die that costs a resource, just let him pay for it, and because it really sets him back.
I agree.
I was playing Snap Solo at a tournament recently, and my opponent was playing Phasma Guavian Trooper, and he was using his Guardian to eat my Han 3-for-1 sides. And I told him after the match that if he had forced me to spend my resource on that, it would have put me way behind, because I was able to play so many more cards out of my hand, and he was just giving me free damage, essentially.
And that's the thing. I mean, when you just get damage like that and keep your resources on the board, like that's one thing that makes Imperial War Machine so good. Eric's Vader just coming in big, just specials across the board.
6 damage and 2 actions. That is brutal.
SOR.
I
Vader.
might even switch targets to Django. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, eNines doesn't have anything on him, and his character dice aren't scary. I mean, yeah, he's got the 2-for-1, but like we were just discussing, that makes your opponent get resources. It destroys their economy.
We'll see if Clint has a response. He had a he doesn't like you earlier. I bet he's wishing he would have left. Oh, he plays Scramble.
Oh,
The card I was just talking about. So, oh man, and
he still gets 6 damage.
well, but remember Eric played the 2 overconfidences,
Right.
so he has no money.
But he still got Kylo to come in. And he could get that focus on the holocron, or he could get a money from Kylo. I mean,
Taxer's saying, yeah, unless it's necessary, making them pay for their damage is important when playing with Guardian characters on top of Salvage Stand. So, I mean, Taxer's the man. So if you wanna play a Phasma Guardian deck, watch him.
I was just about to say, I think we'll take the advice of the guy who has placed top 4 in 2 huge events as Phasma and take it for real.
So Eric's putting 3 damage into eNines.
Yeah, we talked about earlier about not switching targets, and Eric staying true. I mean, he got rid of that fatal, so he just decides, hey, I'll just keep going, plugging away.
Did he resolve the 4-speed special? Was that still on special? Or...
No, it was a shield, and he resolved it.
Oh, okay. Oh, so he didn't take the damage from the Vader special.
Right. Clint probably passed. Yep, here comes Kylo. Let's see if he gets that focus.
I mean, it's just insane to me how much faster the game has gotten.
Oh, yeah.
Since Awakenings. Like, look at the board state of both opponents.
And this
They only have... Well, Eric doesn't have any damage dealing upgrades. Clint only has 1, and they both have a character more than halfway dead.
on round 2?
Yeah, it's absurd.
Yeah. Well, the characters have just gotten so much better than SOR. I mean, eNines and SOR Vader are just 2 heavy hitters.
And Clint hasn't got much value out of Nine's ability this round. I can't help but think that Phasma would have done even more damage on top of what he's done so far.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. His Nines likes to roll 2-for-1.
Yeah.
So
Looks like we're going to see Eric finish off eNines here with the Vader special.
off of Manipulate
Yep.
or Meditate.
Yeah,
not
sorry,
Manipulate.
meditate.
Manipulate is such a good card to combo with Meditate.
Oh, yeah. That's why Eric loves it, and that's why we didn't see him discard it at the beginning of the game. You know, he could have fished for more Vader damage, but he chose to hang on to it because he loves it. Looks like we got some discussion going on here.
So Eric's claiming the cargo hold, I think, and he's gonna move.
It looks like...
And I think Clint was trying to say that... I don't know what he's trying to say.
It looks like Clint's claiming the cargo hold, and he's trying to figure out how to play it out.
So, I think Eric's explaining to him that if he moves the holocron over to Vader, that the die will get removed from the pool.
Right.
So, and that would be a great play also just to, if he's able to finish off Vader, it'll get rid of that holocron.
Yeah, I mean, Clint's still very much into the game. I mean, Kylo by himself is not scary. So we could easily see Clint come back from this game if he gets Vader off the board quick. You know, if he gets an activation into 4 damage, he's still very much in it.
And it'll come down to... I know Eric is a pretty skilled player, so he's probably going to pass and try to bait Clint into just rolling out Django naturally. And I think Clint needs to be really smart and just take the double pass and go to the next round. Maybe play a weapon on Django. If Eric still passes, pass again, play another weapon on Django. Just take all the time you need so that you can
build that board state and get even and try to come out on top.
Exactly, and additionally, he might get a couple backup muscles,
right?
You know, that he can waste actions on. So,
yeah, when you're playing from behind, you have to think out your turns very clearly.
Sharkfeet's saying, why not just attack and why take the time to pass? I mean, he could roll out ahead, but Mono Blue Villain has so many control options that he might And, well, it's not going to matter now because Eric just played a Force Illusion.
The reason you would consider passing though Shark Feet is because Django's ability lets him activate for free off of a character activation. So Eric would activate his Vader, and then Clint would activate his Django, and then get in an activation or an action on top of his activation. So he could potentially roll out fatal damage onto Vader after Eric rolls out his character. But he played the Force Illusion, so even if he rolls out fatal, he's going to be able to block it.
So Eric was just explaining to Clint how that worked. And Force Illusion is a blue neutral upgrade, 1 cost, and after you are dealt damage, you can discard that upgrade and discard a number of cards from your deck equal to the damage you took to block it.
Yeah, I think we both agree that Force Illusion is a top 10 card in SOR, like from the expansion. I think that card is good in every blue deck, at least the one of.
So Clint was fixing to play Tactical Mastery and then decided not to?
Looks like he's getting a little frustrated. His Django is not cooperating nearly as well as Lincoln's was. Let's see if Eric's going to roll out.
I mean, it's a similar situation. I can understand why Clint's getting frustrated because it's a similar situation to when you're playing against the Han and he just keeps shielding up and shielding up and shielding up. You know, it can be definitely be frustrating. Yeah, Shark Feet. Illusion is an incredibly good card.
His Django does not want to roll damage. Got the resource again.
Yeah, it would be really nice if he had a bait and switch, though.
Gets that focus.
And just 4 damage on Vader, so...
No big deal. I don't know what else you could ask for out of that roll. I mean, you get 4 damage, you get the focus, you get the Holocron special, and you don't have to pay for any of that damage.
Maybe a 4-speed special so that you could try to get the claim and move an upgrade back to Kylo.
Maybe. But I think with that Force Illusion, he's not really too worried about it anymore, because he's effectively got, what, 5 health still? Because of the bonus.
Right. Well, depending on how much Django deals, like if he deals it with the modifier.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because he's got the modifier on the board, he's got that bonus damage, so he's most likely he's not going to re-roll that for the chance to get that 2-for-1. And that's only a 1 in 6, so I mean there's a potential he could actually reduce his damage output by rolling the 1 damage, right? Eric taking his time. Because Kylo hasn't really done much, and I mean, it goes back to what we were saying earlier, that what Kylo by himself just isn't scary.
Well, one of the things that's good about this Emokids deck is that he gives Vader shields, so even though Vader keeps dealing damage to himself, Kylo's dice can generate the shields to, offset that. So Clint played He Doesn't Like You to remove the focus, and that's probably just a new player mistake. Eric doesn't have any ways of action cheating with that focus, so Clint should have waited for Eric to spend it and then use the He Doesn't Like You to remove whatever die he focused to.
Yep. And there we go. We were talking about how much Eric loves Manipulate, and here we see it come out.
I think Clint only has 1 card left in hand, though, so Meditate into the Kylo special is not going to do anything if Clint chooses to discard right here, which he should.
I can't see what Eric has in hand. I wasn't sure if he had a target for that Holocron special.
So Clint takes a resource.
He's meditating to something.
So he is turning to Kylo special, so if Clint rerolls here, that Kylo special does nothing.
But Eric has no resources. He could turn to the 1, but
he can't because Meditate only doesn't let you turn to side-throwing damage.
Right. So what do you think? You think you discard the card here just to prevent damage?
So it looked like he electroshocked the shield.
Yeah.
So gets the card out of his hand, and it's essentially dealing a damage.
Eric has another Holocron in hand, though. So he could claim and save himself the upgrade. Because think about it, Clint could remove that Force illusion onto Kylo and potentially kill Vader next turn or next round.
Eric has 0 resources, so the most value he's going to get out of that Kylo die is a shield or a 1 melee. I mean, the resource would be okay. And he's discarding to reroll.
I think I would have
Gets
claimed.
a shield. The good thing is that Eric doesn't have an upgrade on Kylo, so Clint can't move it over to Vader and force Eric to discard one of them.
True.
That's an interesting interaction you don't see much is cargo hold. If a player has 3 upgrades and you move an upgrade from another character onto them, it forces the owner of that character to discard one of those. So Clint's moving the Force illusion from Vader over to Kylo. I mean, it's not a permanent solution, but
He's living on a prayer now, though. But if he has a chance to win, he needs to get Vader down.
Eric's shielding up Vader and playing the holocron on Kylo. His second holocron.
And what's interesting about Eric's deck is he runs 2 holocrons, but doesn't run many targets for them. You know, the holocron lets you play an upgrade ability out of your hand onto your blue characters, but when you're not running, well, I think Eric only runs, what, 4?
Yeah, we talked about it on stream about a month ago. We actually had Eric in here and interviewed him about his Emokids deck, and there's a card that he really likes called Power of the Force. And so Power of the Force is a 1-cost blue neutral event, and it lets you increase the value showing on a die by the number of blue upgrades you have. So he likes to spam a lot of cheap blue upgrades and then use it as basically like a no mercy, essentially.
Right.
So like let's say you roll the 1 ranged on Baby Vader and you have 4 blue upgrades out like he does now. You play Power of the Force, you're dealing 4 damage for 1 resource.
That's a good point.
Which is an incredibly good value. But he also at the time wasn't running Vibranized, and I told him he was crazy.
Yeah.
And he's since remedied that, so he does have a Makashi training, so that's a potential holocron target.
Looks like Clint finally gets his Django to cooperate. Gets Fatal on the Vader if he wants it.
Right, but he had to roll in naturally instead of activating in response.
True. But still, seeing that damage come out has to feel good.
Especially since Eric probably can't control all of it at once. He's already spent both of his overconfidences, so...
That's true. That's a good point. He could...
And
he can't meditate.
I don't think Eric even has any control in his hands, so I don't know why he...
I don't see
Clint just rolled out for his first action of the turn. I see.
I don't see any resources on Eric's side. Did he grab them?
It looks like he's spending them on Kylo Saber.
I think he's just accepting the Vader death and realizes he needs to get something on the board to let Kylo deal damage.
And he replaces the Force illusion.
Yeah, I mean, Eric has played this deck enough to know that Kylo by himself isn't going to get it done.
Yeah, unless you're playing against a Unkar TIE pilots and you you snag a Endless Ranks or ATST.
True.
Special.
You a little salty? Has that happened?
It's happened before, but not often. You can play around it pretty well.
Down goes Vader. Clint back in this game now.
That's one of the things that's so good about the new Kylo is that you can't play around it.
Yeah.
I mean, we do. Well, you can kind of like we saw Jeremy keeping the 2 flanks in his hand at the beginning of the game. Just so there was less red or yellow targets in his hand.
Right.
But I don't know, and I guess you can think about what you discard at the end of the round. If they've already seen a particular card, you can discard it to keep them guessing. But
True, but that forces you to make suboptimal plays, especially if that's a card you want. And for those who haven't seen, the new Kylo ability from the 2-player set says when you activate Kylo, you may name a color and pull a card from your opponent's hand, and whatever that card is, color-wise, if you guess correctly, you deal 2 damage to a character. So which gives him the ability to just consistently do damage every round.
so Eric rolling out gets a blank, a focus, a Kylo special, and a +3 melee on the Kylo Saber. Kylo Saber is still one of the best melee weapons in the game.
I completely agree. I think we'll see it make a huge comeback in Empire at War.
Do you think it's better than a Well, it's probably not better than Ride Baton simply because Ride Baton has the redeploy, but it's pretty close.
Right. I mean, I think with cards like Insidious and better pairings, villains are going to have the ability to consistently get more resources, and that was one of the reasons why we haven't seen it played more. I mean, you just struggle to get it out.
So you like Insidious?
I think it is okay. I think it will see certain play, especially in mono villain blue. It will see a lot more play, but with the better pairings, I'm not sure it's going to be needed. But I think it is better than people are giving it credit for. Much like Obi-Wan's Journal, I think people crapped on that card when it first came out, and now that people have really let it sit a little bit and had a chance to test it a lot, they really see where it can play.
Every card they release makes Obi-Wan's Journals better.
Agreed.
Because the action on Obi-Wan's Journals lets you get to that card faster.
Right, and it's a cheap upgrade. You can always override it, and it makes you money. I mean,
yeah, that's why that Dark Council card might be really, really good.
Right.
Because it's got a similar... It's actually better than Obi-Wan's Journals.
I think so.
Villains getting the better stuff. Who would have thought?
Not me.
So, Kylo's swinging in on eJango for 4, and, I mean, it's looking pretty bleak for eJango. I mean, he has the potential to deal 2, 4, 6, 8, 11 damage in one go.
He's missing a dice. He realizes it now. There he goes. Yeah, I mean, but Kylo has effective 12 health right now.
Right.
So even with a God roll, you're not going to see it.
So, again, Clint just going ahead and... He has a backup muscle in his hand. I would, or he did at least. I thought he did last turn.
And one thing that Eric probably doesn't think about and doesn't realize, but Clint's running a block in his deck.
Oh, man, and that could be a blowout here.
That has the potential to just wipe out a round for Eric.
I really like block and dodge as cards. I wish they saw more play. Because I have had some games where I have just blown out someone completely with a block.
In Awakenings, when I first started playing, a good friend of mine was running eJango, and I rolled out 10 damage as Luke. Go figure that. Random. When are you ever going to do that? And then he blocked it. Eric rolling out and gets huge melee damage. Are we going to see the block? Please block it. Oh, Clint, please do it.
So Clint's looking through his hand. We'll see if he sees it. I think
he's got it. Yes.
And Eric is just gonna. Oh man.
Oh, that's gotta respect. So bad.
You gotta respect that play, man. That's just brutal.
Eric finally draws into his Holocron special, though. He does have the Mind Probe.
And Clint has a lot of damage, though. This is gonna be close, unless his Mind Probe can hit.
Oh, he gets it.
3. That's game.
Is it?
That's game. Yep. There's a GG. He had 6 damage on him.
Oh, he had 4 cards in it? Dang it. They had 3.
Oh,
wow.
Man. I thought that was going to be a little bit closer finish.
What an end. Eric living the dream, though. How about that Holocron special in the special? I love it.
Man.
That game swung a couple times. I didn't think it was going to go that way, just based off how close or how fast.
If Eric doesn't hit that Holocron special right there, and Django swings, he had 7 damage he was about to deal.
Yep.
And then all he needed was to activate next turn and probably finish Kylo off.
Yeah, but Clint needed to wait for that free activation for that next round. I mean, he couldn't.
Right.
He couldn't just.
He couldn't do what he had been doing, where he just rolls out.
Right. But Eric just living the dream there. That was awesome to watch.
Yeah, and just showing Holocron, it's still bananas.
Oh, it's still so good.
I mean, it might not be quite as good when Rend is available, which people are going to put in their decks for sure.
Yeah, I think that's...
Get rid of Force Speed, get rid of Holocron, you know.
It's an auto-include, for sure. Like you said, Force Speed...
The best decks use Force Speed in...
Yep.
I mean, except for eNines, because eNines doesn't need it.
Nope. I was really surprised at how slow that game ended up going, just based off how quickly eNines went down. I mean, he went down like a sack of potatoes, and then all of a sudden the game just kind of stalled. You know, they were coming back and forth with control and.
Well, Eric did get out both Force Illusions. He was rolling a lot of shields on Kylo.
Played a lot of the meditates and manipulates, so he ended up blanking
So
a lot
yeah,
of his
he
own
was
dice.
yeah he was essentially cannibalizing his dice to turn out his dice to other sides.
Right.
And I mean, we saw when Vader went down, Kylo, the damage potential just dropped completely.
Oh yeah, and that's just what happens with Emokids. I mean, you get Vader down, your chances of winning shoot up. They skyrocket. But like we said, Eric saw that, played the Kylo Saber, and did work.
Right. And man, that Matt is just
Awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
Too bad Luke isn't a better character in Destiny.
Don't get me started.
But all right, so this was round 3. We're gonna go into a top 4. We're gonna do a best of 3 cut for you guys. So stick with us. Was there anything else you wanted to mention?
Not off the top of my head. If I think about anything during the break, I'll make sure to bring it up.
All right, so stay with us, guys, and we'll be back in a few minutes with our top 4 best of 3 match for you guys. Thanks.
Stay tuned.